Hello, my name is Diana Green and I worship at St Bridget's Church, Bridekirk. Prior to taking early retirement, I had worked as an IT professional for 30 years. Have you ever thought God wanted you in a place for a purpose, but have not managed to fathom out what that purpose is? Or perhaps you thought God was asking you to do something, but never had the courage or faith to test the water. Today, I would like to share with you my experience of trusting God. I'd like you to cast your minds back to mid-March last year, when the country had been plunged into the first COVID lockdown. We were in the first week and our churches had been told that we were not allowed to open for Sunday worship. Now at that stage, the GMC online service had not yet been fully established. The question being debated across the country was, what are churches going to do? During the Thursday night of that week, I suddenly woke up with the idea that church could move to Zoom. I lay awake thinking this concept through, how Zoom could be used to stream a live service. No need to pre-record anything. People could join in from different homes and we could sing our hearts out at home. Needless to say, I didn't get any more sleep that night. Was God asking me to use my IT skills to serve His church? The next day, with a couple of friends from my family, I set up a test service and trialled the concept. By early evening, we felt the idea may just work and the necessary Zoom invite was ready to be sent to the congregation. But was this what God actually wanted me to do? So as I pressed that send button on my email, I also sent a prayer up to God, willing Him to guide our church in the direction He wanted. And within an hour of sending the email, one member of the congregation responded, indicating their delight and that they would definitely be there. What did Jesus say? Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name? Well, that Sunday, there was definitely going to be 3 gathered on Zoom to worship Him. In actual fact, 13 people were at our first Zoom service, and many positive comments came in afterwards with a request that we hold another service the following week. Now, during the weekend and the following week, it became obvious to me that the GMC online service was to become well established and that each church was being encouraged to engage with it. Oops, had I just done something to undermine this? Perhaps I'd misinterpreted my night's thoughts and the Zoom church concept was not really from God, but was rather something I wanted to do. So after many discussions and heart-searching, it was decided that St Bridget's would continue with the Zoom service and we would see how it panned out. I think all concerned thought it would be a short-lived thing, even myself, not believing worship on Zoom would work and that the novelty would wear off. We agreed that if God was in this, then it would gather momentum, otherwise it would very quickly fizzle out. Now we did continue to meet and still do, with the number of people attending increasing each week. Different people lead the services, various members of the congregation share with the Bible reading or leading us in prayer, whilst our worship music is pre-recorded by our organist and music group. We soon got into a pattern of worship offering different styles of service throughout the months, with agape and all age through to simple morning prayer. As the lockdown eased, churches were allowed to open up again, and many of our Zoom community felt that gathering in a church building was not the right thing to do, fearing both for their own health and that of those around them. So despite this, we were aware that a small group of our normal congregation had not, for whatever reason, connected with Zoom. So in the autumn, it was decided we would reopen church specifically for these people. And in order to not let the Zoomers down, we investigated running Zoom church from within the building. We could lead the service in church for those who wanted to attend the building, but still offer the by now established Zoom church to those at home. Even with our limited internet and infrastructure at Bridekirk, all agreed that the experience went well. and soon we developed our hybrid service with members on Zoom assisting with the leading of the service alongside those in the building. Now, just as I felt we had achieved one challenge, another was placed in front of us. Would St Bridget's Bridekirk be willing to host a hybrid service for the licence of our new rector, Jane Charman? How could anybody refuse such a request? It was only when the emails came in suggesting that the service should go out on Zoom and Facebook that I realised what we were up against. We'd never ever experienced doing Facebook live streaming. So following various trials, investigations in a video camera, and grappling with the church sound system, exploring the best way to live stream to Facebook, and finally using our Harvest Festival as a test service, we felt confident in hosting the Rising service. Jane, fortunately, is still with us, so I assume the hybrid experience and the live streaming was satisfactory. Then came lockdown number 2, just before Remembrance Sunday. It was St Bridget's pleasure to offer a live streaming of an act of remembrance to all of the GMC churches at 11 a.m. on the following Sunday. Again, the service went out from church onto Zoom and also live on Facebook. And as a service, it had its own different IT challenges to ensure that everyone on all platforms had a good experience. Of course, having grasped the technology in its fullness, we decided at Bridekirk that Christmas would appear online via Zoom and Facebook. This would give everyone a chance to sing along to all those wonderful carols and share in the Christmas spirit without sharing the COVID virus. A well-made decision, as we were still advised to limit our social contact. Yes, we've had glitches. It's not been plain sailing all the way. In the beginning, there were several telephone lessons getting people onto Zoom, or perhaps equipping people with the knowledge to lead services on Zoom. But we did do it. So on reflection, I think we could say St Bridget's Bridekirk have simply swapped their church building for Zoom and continued to worship together throughout the pandemic. We continue to meet on Zoom, and just as our building is open to all, so is our Zoom church. Over the months, I am pleased to say that various people from other churches in GMC have popped in to experience our worship, and all are still welcome. So nearly a year on, and 45 services later, with up to 30 people attending most weeks, I think we can safely say God is definitely with us on our journey. So that's now. That's where we're up to. But what about the future? What about when the pandemic is over and we can go back to mixing and worshipping in church? Well, that is something we at Bridekirk are currently praying about. The first thing on our hearts is the drawing together of all of our congregation, whether they access Zoom or not. Secondly, having learnt and achieved so much, it feels a waste to just stop. And one of the questions we are asking now is whether we continue with our hybrid solution, allowing the disabled and infirm to join in with our Sunday worship from within their own homes. How do we connect with these people and encourage them to join us? Do they need help accessing Zoom? Can we offer our technical skills and knowledge to other churches? This is where we're asking you to pray with us, to ask for wisdom and discernment. Then we need to listen to God and have faith to follow his direction. So if you feel God is calling you to do something, even if you don't feel adequately equipped with the skills for that calling, I ask you to have faith in God and follow your heart. From my experience, he will be right there with you. Oh, and when you forget to acknowledge and call on him, you can be sure he will let you know.